Hello, I'm Chris Fowler for Sports Century. He was small for his 15 years, but he had a body quick and strong and a warrior's heart. So it was no surprise when the high school sophomore won the state wrestling championship in the 95-pound division. Then, unspeakable tragedies slammed into his life: the sexual attack and murder of his older sister. She would never leave his memory, he vowed. Thus fueled by the darkest of days, Dan Gable forged what already had been hunger into a ferocity of mind and spirit. He became the most dominant athlete and coach of his sport, perhaps of any sport.
It's the most primitive of all things that people do. It's the first thing that kids do. You know, they start wrestling around with each other.
The whole idea in the sport is for one man to dominate the other man. He's trying to submit you to his physical power.
Wrestling is the most debilitating physical sport I think there is.
I would come out of the football season and think I was in pretty good shape. And for about the first 2 weeks of wrestling season, I'd throw up every single day because it was so grueling.
It's painful. It's not very glorious. It's just a great sense of accomplishment.
The way you address wrestling and the way you handle the pressure, success, the failure is going to mold you as an individual.
The athlete who decides that he wants to excel will tax himself to an extreme level. He becomes a fanatic.
Although extremely popular during its heyday in ancient Greece and Rome, amateur wrestling had fallen into obscurity. Then, in the 1960s, the sport received a lift from a young man who seemed invincible.
This is ABC's Wide World of Sports. Takedown for Gable, 2-0 lead.
I always felt that what Dan Gable did in wrestling was the equivalent of Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile, where nobody said it could ever be done. It was impossible.
Here's a kid who hadn't lost for 4 or 5 years. Hadn't lost in scholastic style wrestling. And now he's pinning people, which is like the knockout or the home run. Because that's the finality of it. It's over.
Sometime during his junior year, I believe he became a feared wrestler because you begin to see wrestlers going up a weight class, going down a weight class, to just flat avoid him.
No wrestler in the long and brilliant history of the sport at Iowa State has ever captured the imagination the way this young man has.
Dan Gable enjoyed a junior year at Iowa State that was virtually perfect. Undefeated, he registered 26 pins in 30 matches.